Welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson.
Hi, I'm Lori Thompson.
And we are talking about little tips for life, things that you do when you're out there socially. We know the pandemic is coming to a different level, I suppose, and people are getting out a little bit more. How about you?
Yeah, getting out more socially and just maybe some tips on, refreshers on how to do certain things as a blind person now that maybe you're going out more, just some refreshers.
Yeah, and I think the elbow bump or the forearm smash is going to fade away and handshakes are going to come back. And I'd like to say, when you're going to shake hands, if you realize someone is going to shake hands, that I put my hand out. I don't reach for their hand. I let them come and grab my hand for the handshake.
Absolutely, because I've been in early blindness. I've went out and, reached and, grabbed some things and oopsies. Yeah. And then you just kind of... It's funny. Maybe they're in a good mindset that they can laugh that off. You just put your hand out and let them reach for you.
And if someone's going to hand you something, like they have something, hey, here's a cupcake or something of that nature, just put your hand out. If the person is sighted or if not, if they're sighted, they'll get it to your hand. But if you're both visually impaired or blind, you'll work something out. Because you both are in the same, it's like trying to high five someone when you're both blind. It could be an incident.
Yeah, I've been in a situation with another blind person where we've tried to high five and we were unsuccessful.
For a while.
Yeah, and when you're out with someone and maybe you're sitting down at a booth or a table and you're using a cane, if it's a fold-up cane, just fold it up and put it underneath your chair. Or if it's a full-length cane, I always kind of put it on the floor. Hopefully it won't reach out too far in the walking area, and put it parallel with me on the floor or under the table so that it doesn't roll out into a walking space for a waitress to trip over, or, who you're with won't trip over it when they get up or what have you.
And if you're in a booth and you're sitting inside against the wall side of it, you can always bring it in there, set it diagonally against the wall or something like that. But just be cognizant of it not being in the aisle for other people, because people will find it with their feet and it could be interesting sometimes. So be cognizant of how your cane and where your cane's going, but don't be shy about bringing your cane. I mean, hey.
Absolutely. And for guide dog users, when I go with Logan, if I'm in a booth, I try to put him underneath the table, because booths are usually along the outer part of the wall, and you don't want to lay him on the floor where you enter your booth, because then that's where the waitress might stand. So if you can tuck him underneath there. If not, sometimes I try to find that last booth off in the corner where there won't be a lot of traffic, so he can lay against the wall or in an area where there's low traffic.
Exactly. Another thing is when you're going out to a restaurant, well, if you know which restaurant you're going, it's always nice while you're at home or on the bus to actually look up the restaurant and see if you can get the menu, get the general idea. If you're going to a Mexican restaurant, you know what generally there's going to be an assortment of, whether it be burritos, enchiladas, tacos, or something like that. You're not going to be thinking of chicken Kiev. It's probably not going to be there. Get a general idea by checking out to see if there's menu available. And now you can use Ira to have them actually take a picture of the menu if it's a JPEG type of menu thing, and they will read it to you and give you the general idea. So when you go in there, you might have one or two items that you may want to order and you don't have to reference to the menu. You might have to get deeper into the sides or something, but that's what the waitress is for. But you at least have a ballpark where you're going to aim for it. But the other thing that I like to do is, if there's other people at the table, they're always talking about what they see on the menu. I pay attention. And if someone else goes first, if there's four of you, listen to what they're ordering. It might give you an idea. It might go, oh my gosh, I love that. You might want to get that. But I always look up ahead of time to do it. If you do have to check out the menu, whether you're going to use, like Ira and stuff, make sure you have headphones on, because you're in a public area. No matter where you are in public, you want to use headphones or at least one earpiece so you don't get distracted and don't know what's happening around you. You always want to be cognizant of the ambient noises around you when you're out in public. Use that with precaution, but when you're at a table or something, don't tell people to be quiet because you can't hear your voiceover. Use a headphone, preferably a Bluetooth, because it's less cumbersome.
Yes. And when you're at the table and maybe your plate or your drink has been served to you, it's nice to just set your hands lightly on the table and just slowly move around to investigate. Don't reach too fast or don't come from the top down. I typically...
I come from the top down.
Do you? Well, that's interesting.
That's once I know where my glass is. If my glass is at 2:00 on my plate,
sure,
I will just come from the top down because I know where it's at. I know what's happening.
But when it first gets to the table, I like to just kind of make slow movements across the table to locate my things so I don't knock anything over.
Yeah, and then you can investigate what else is all the way around you.
Yeah, the napkins, salt and pepper, ketchup,
Or
creamer.
they didn't clean this table.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah. Ooh, yes, absolutely.
Another thing is while you're at a restaurant or out in public or something, pay attention to who is talking. You always want to turn towards the voice so it looks like you at least are paying attention. I get it a lot because I have a little bit of peripheral where I'm looking off to the side. Sometimes I see the person kind of look over their shoulder like, what the heck is he looking at? But I try to give focus to the person who is talking. Yes, it's a sighted thing, but it's a public interaction type of thing that is a good habit to have, especially like job interviews or your boss or anybody that you're talking with.
Absolutely. You want to face in the direction where you can hear that voice coming from. So it kind of gives them the idea that you are acknowledging what they're saying. One other thing that I would recommend is typically we're planners, so we know when we're going to go out. You really want to make sure that your phone is charged before you go out in case something happens. Maybe the bus misses you. Maybe the bus is delayed and you've got to get back soon and you need an Uber or a Lyft. Or maybe you want to look up on the Metro site that maybe a different alternative bus route to take to get home.
Everyone knows that feeling when you're down to 10% and you get that warning. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to use this sparingly. So try and have a full charge with you going out.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we mentioned Uber and stuff. If you're in an Uber or something, try and have that general person that you send or share, if you're alone, that you share your ride with them. They'll receive it. They just know that you're in a ride, and it just gives you a little more sense of security.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're alone.
Mm-hmm. Jeff and I do that a lot.
The other thing is, know where you are. We may take an Uber and we get to a place and someone says, oh yeah, I'll come and meet you or something like that. But know where you are, because it's always nice if you get in an emergency situation, someone says, where are you? Yeah, you can say, hey, ask voice and ask for your location. But it's always a good thing to know where you are. I know that sounds silly, but sometimes we get out with a group of people and we're walking around and we're just in a group and we end up at a different place because that restaurant was overpacked or there's a 45-minute wait and let's go down the street. Well, where's down the street? So always be cognizant of where you are.
Yes, and two, utilizing Uber and Lyft. GPS is great. Sometimes, though, it's not as great as you think it is. And I have been dropped off thinking it's the door of the building that I want, but actually, because of their GPS, it took me to another side of the building. So it's an unfamiliar side of the building that I'm on. So I always try to ask, hey, what street am I on? Is this University or is this 29th? Or just to make sure that I'm on the right side of the building that I want or the location that I want to be on, not the back side.
And most of you will know, like at a convention, there might be 7 different exits out. One goes to a patio, one goes to the front, one goes to a pool area, one goes to another thing. So knowing where you are really helps to really determine. Knowing where you are just really helps your bearings, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Bearings.
Yeah, because, if you've got friends that are on University and you get dropped off on 29th and you don't know it, you've got to figure out how to get to that. And there could be barriers in your way.
The other thing that I do, and I got them set up, is air tags or whether you have a tile or something, especially if you're out and about. Like if I leave my MERS, my backpack or whatever I have
Jeff's
with me.
Man purse.
If I leave it behind and my keys are in there, I'll get a notification on my phone that says
it's out of reach or something.
Yeah, it'll alarm me.
Find my 3 items were left behind. These items are no longer detected near you. They were last seen near Richard J. Dora Memorial, Hardwood State Forest.
And that's a neat feature for the air tags. Now, as for tile and the tracker, I believe they have some of that set up, but I'm not sure. I can't speak to that. But I notice when I leave the camper or something and I walk down the road, all of a sudden it says I left 3 different things behind because I don't carry everything with me. But it's just kind of neat to have that turned on. So check that out in your air tags if you have them, and make sure you have that set up, because that's kind of a neat thing to know, because if you've left something behind, it's easier
Could be
to
crucial.
get back there right away.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Another thing is, don't be afraid to ask for assistance sometimes. If you're flying into an airport you've never been in and you got to get the baggage, well, search and discovery can be, exploration is not probably the thing you want to do at that moment. You want to travel to that place. So if they ask if you need assistance, take the assistance, get to the baggage, and then ask them, where do you go get your Uber or your shuttle or the next step? And you'll get there. And it'll be in a timely fashion. It's not that you are not being independent or using IRA or something. You can use IRA, I suppose, too.
Yeah, I've used IRA before to get to baggage claim, especially if it's an airport that I've never been to before. If you're only traveling through that city once every 10 years, do I need to learn it?
Probably not.
Probably not. And usually if it's a destination, for instance, if I'm visiting friends and I end up in Denver, for instance, I've never been to Denver Airport, I would probably either definitely use IRA, or I would have assistance waiting for me. Especially if I know I've got people picking me up at a certain time, and time is the essence. I don't want to spend my time structured discovery. That's for a different day.
That's a life thing, because structured discovery, you will be able to find it. You will be able to find it. Believe me, through all the training that you've had and I've had, we'd be able to find it. But to save time and efficiency, I don't need to learn San Francisco Airport. I've done it enough now where I kind of got an idea, but it's a lot easier.
When you have a shuttle waiting for you to take you to Napa, it's a big airport. Sometimes it's just easier to say, can I have assistance?
And the roadway there, you got to cross 2 little roads
that might not have signals.
It might be where the taxis and the Ubers
I don't know. There's probably not an APS button to hit.
When they say, go to the second median, it's like,
yeah. And go to the red, is it the yellow or the orange marking on the curb? It's like, okay, I need some assistance. Also, it's just for your own stress. Why should you get worked up when someone is willing to walk with you? I'm not saying be shoved in a wheelchair. Your legs aren't broken, but just nicely say, can I just hold on to your elbow?
Yeah, I've been there. So it's all about efficiency sometimes, and the stress level that you mentioned.
If you do ask for assistance and you're using a guide dog, I just say, just let my dog and I follow you. Just maybe give me some vocal cues when you're going to turn left or right, and I can direct my guide dog to follow.
Mm-hmm. That conversation that you have with a person, like you'll find out, oh, they're from Little Rock, or they're from here, or why'd you move here? It's that conversation. But what I'm using it for is cueing in on where they are in relationship to where I'm walking, because they think, oh, you're doing fine, but I'm listening to them. And that's my guide person, I guess.
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to walk over here. Hey, will we be taking an elevator? Do we have to leave this concourse and go to another concourse? Just ask some questions.
And when you get back to a hotel, say you're staying at a hotel or something, always have your room number, a log of the address of the place, because you might get separated for some people. And if you need an Uber, you want to go to the Hilton. Well, there might be 2 Hiltons in a Twin City or a Tri-City type of thing, or the Quad Cities. Mm-hmm. There might be a couple different ones, and you want to make sure you get to the right one. There's a lot of Holiday Expresses, Holiday Inns, and stuff like that. So have the address of that in your phone or on you, so you can actually
give good directions to the Lyft or the Uber or whatever transportation avenue you're taking.
Yeah, just like at the airports, you want to arrive early, whether it's the airport, hotel, or any place or convention. You just want to get there early so you can relax and not have that stress level and be prepared for delays. You never know when that line is going to be super duper long. You want to be able to just stride in, get situated and waiting for your plane. And if you do have time, don't leave your luggage behind. Pick it up, and you can use IRA if you want to explore, to get some food or something like that. That's really nice to do. And then find a chair, because typically if you get up and move your stuff, someone's going to take your chair. So free IRA space.
Absolutely. I typically, before I go on a trip, I'll use Ira to take a picture of my luggage, because then even if I do have assistants picking up my bags at the baggage claim, I can just pull up that picture and say, this is what my bags look like. I have a green bandana that I tie on my handle of I have a couple different things that someone can identify my bag if I'm not traveling with someone that
You should put
can
a
see.
Duran Duran sticker on it.
I should put a Duran Duran sticker on because I love Duran Duran.
The thing about arriving early, if you're at the hotel, I like to do is get there preferably in the morning or the day ahead of time or something. I don't like arriving while things are already happening, because I like to get there, find out where the lobby is, and you can tell the lobby. It's typically, you hear the commotion of it, but as soon as you walk in that door, you figure out the lobby, then relationship back to the door, and then you can hear the elevator banks. Ask where you go up, and don't try and figure out that whole elevator panel on the first day. You'll get used to it, but it's something to discover yourself. And then when you get off the elevator, is there elevators across from you? Like, is there a double bank? You got to be cognizant of that. Then where's your room? Or where's the coffee shop? Where's the convention area? These things can be explored on your own time. Less stress. We're always talking about the stress and efficiency. So the next morning when the convention starts, or when your group is meeting at someplace, you have a general idea. You got to go down to this floor, and this button feels like this. Some of the lobby entries has a star shape on the thing. You can feel that. Or it might be the second one up from the bottom, or your floor might be the third one down from the top on the left. Usually you get it all figured out on the day you leave. But while you're there, it's nice to figure some of this stuff out.
Yeah, and some of those elevator banks, some of them only go to certain floors. So you don't want to get on one that goes, between the 12th and the 16th floor, and you're on the third floor.
And some people I've heard done this to their room, like on the inside of their door, they hang a air tag or a tile, so they can find the room that way. Myself, I just figured out, if I go left and I'm this far down, then there's Braille. Usually on the side of the door, on the wall, there's usually Braille there. So I use that type of thing. But typically I get there and figure that stuff out. But I understand the tile would work too.
Absolutely. So if you don't know Braille, I'm not saying sit down and read a novel in 6 months, but it is nice to know enough Braille to locate your room, identify the panel on the elevator to know what floor you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, A through J,
Yep.
right there. You got all of your numbers you need.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's the minimum Braille you need, but it is the minimum Braille you need in a sense. Mm-hmm. Braille is very, very useful.
And if you're checking into a hotel and you're solo, get 2 key cards. It's just nice to have that one that you use, but keep one like in your wallet or something that would always be there. Because sometimes you come in, you got to go to the bathroom, or you got to do this, or you were thinking about something and you just set it down and you forget it on the counter or wherever, you know. And you walk out and your door shuts and it's like, oh, no. So have 2. Doesn't really matter. They're not going to charge you for them at all. And while you're getting those 2 cards for your room, ask about the internet, because they'll tell you it's blah, blah, blah. The code is blah, blah, blah. Or you use your last name plus something, your room number or something of that nature, and ask if there's a fee for the Wi-Fi. But usually you do get the general Wi-Fi, but you get to your room and go, oh, what about the Wi-Fi? Oh, we didn't ask. Then you pick up the phone, and the phone is this foreign thing that, wait, where is it 0? Do you hit 0?
Yeah.
But some of those phones aren't laid out like a typical keypad. There's like a whole panel of numbers, and stuff like that. So while you're checking in, there's a list of things that you can do to help you out. Get 2 key cards, ask about the Wi-Fi, if there's a password, what is it? Yeah, that's something that I try to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, you could always probably take a little audio memo while you're at the front desk just to have it recorded in case you think you might forget.
Another thing I do when I get into my hotel room is I turn, and right by the hinges of the door, I keep my cane there. I lean it up there. And so every time I want to leave, I just reach across opposite side of the door handle, and there's my cane. And that way it's not in the way of anybody else. It's out of the way, and it's always there. So I'm not like groping a double bed hotel room, like, where's my cane? Where's my cane? It's just someplace that I keep it. And I think keeping things in the same place is a really good thing. Like when you're at the hotel, your wallet, your sunglasses, all your little things that you keep in your pockets, your card, your keys, your everything like that. I'm leaving the room, I can go to that one spot. check. Here's my wallet. Here's my sunglasses. Here's my, that type of thing.
Absolutely. Yep.
That organization is something. It really pays off.
Well, and two, a lot of times when people are going to, say, a convention or what have you, they might be sharing a room with somebody. So you want to keep your stuff sorted from someone else's stuff. So you want to have your own space. You want to go in and maybe you don't want to live out of a suitcase for the 3 or 4 days that you're there. You want to get organized just like you would at home. You want to keep things in the same spot and get organized and keep your things situated from someone else's space. Yeah, absolutely. And be respectful of that.
Another thing, if you're going to be there for a convention of any sorts or some type of conference, you want to get an idea, like get the agenda, whether you're reading it from a Word document or whether you're reading it in Braille. You want to get an idea like, oh, okay, breakfast is at 8 to 9, and then here, this, that, lunch is at this time, blah, 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 from this hour. But you want to get a general idea so you can plan, so you're not missing the first hour of the convention by just trying to figure out what's going on. And if you can get it in advance, it's really nice, because then you might find some particular thing that you want to attend or that you want to not go to. So you can make your schedule, and then when you meet up with people, you can say, oh, yeah, that sounds good. Oh, I can't do that because I'm going to the thing in the Hubbard atrium or wherever it is, Yeah. That too is something when you get there early, you can find out where that Hubbard atrium is or where other things are. So you can be efficient, because typically when you're leaving one area to go to another area, there's 1,000 other people or 400 other people trying to do the same thing. And if you know where you're going, it really helps out everybody.
And sometimes when you go out for lunch or what have you, you might come across we've been at conventions where you've had to go stand in line and pull up a tray and go through the little, slide your tray across and have them put food on your tray. And you're always trying to figure out how to finagle the tray, the drink, the silverware, your cane, or your dog. What I typically do is, if I have a pocket or a purse, I would stick my silverware in there, and then my drink would go on my tray. But when I carry the tray with my food and my drink, I would wrap my arm around the tray and press it up against my body and hold the drink with my fingers. Hopefully that makes sense to people. And then I can use my cane with my other hand, or I can use Logan with the other hand to travel to the chair and the table that I'm going to be sitting at.
Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid to sit at tables that you don't know the people at. If you're not with anybody else, if they say there's room, it's a good way to meet a lot of people that way too. And believe me, the next time you go to the cafeteria, you'll meet different people.
Yes.
We're talking about being in the hotel room. The other thing I like to do is, you can use IRA for this, but you can also investigate where the outlets to plug your stuff in. Typically, on each side of the bed, there's going to be something there. Sometimes you have to move something a little bit to find it. Or they have a desk area that might have a plug-in or two. Sometimes they're attached to the lamp base on the one side or the other. But more and more I see there's a panel on the desk where you can plug stuff in. The USB. I don't like using the USBs that are provided, because that's connecting your device right up to them, and I don't know what they can do with that because you're connected to your phone. That. What I do is I like plugging in my block. I always bring an extra block. I always need an extra block to plug in your device, and a cable, of course. Find out where that is and where you want to set your stuff. And I recommend getting a 6-foot cord if you're going to be traveling, because where you plug it in and where you're residing in your bed is important, because with a 3-foot cord, sometimes you can only roll over on your side because the phone doesn't reach. So you get a little more room there, a little more flexibility to be able to have your device charging and still listen to your latest podcast or book that you may be reading.
Yeah. And, we've been at hotels before, Jeff and I have, where the plugins are even in the headboard of the bed, and you have to swipe your card to utilize the lights.
You leave the card in the slot, remember?
Yeah.
You come in and you put it in the slot, and the lights come on, and it powers up the room. Yeah. So that way you don't lose the card. When you leave, you're shutting the lights off too.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's always something different with every hotel room I think we go into. They're making more and more advances.
Yeah. And one other thing that I always do, I always bring a kitchen trash bag with me, the kind with a pull string, drawstring, because when I'm building up my dirty clothes, it's so much easier to keep track of that sock. Not the socks. It's that one sock that you miss. Mm-hmm. So as you're going through your dirty clothes, you can start putting them into that trash bag. And then as you're ready to leave, you just cinch it up and put it all at once into your suitcase. And it doesn't really cross-contaminate with all your clean stuff that you may have overpacked. No one overpacks, do they?
No, I never overpack.
Yes.
Sometimes I bring more things home than what I should, and I might have to get a different bag.
But it's a good way for organization and to keep it separate from the other stuff. So that's what I do for that. And for the bathroom, the stuff you bring, like your toothbrush, your hairbrush, your comb, that type of stuff, I always keep it in a case. So that way I can bring it into the bathroom and set it in one spot. And what I do is I return it to it every time because someone's going to come in and clean that area up. And I just like having it all organized, zipped up, and every time I open it up, it's the same experience for me. So I know where everything is. It's not off to the right, or it doesn't get mixed up with the shampoo, conditioner, or moisturizer. So I know what's mine, and it doesn't get mixed up with someone else's stuff too.
You use moisturizer.
No, they provide it. I've used it as shampoo once in a while, and that really doesn't help.
I'm just kidding.
Then you really have to find the shampoo. One more thing, I would just want to add this. Find bottled water. I don't care if you're at a hotel, but if you're in a different state, city, country, whatever it is, bottled water is probably not upsetting to you at all because you just don't know. So we typically do that. We get bottled, but don't use the bottled water that's already in your room. That's like $5. They'll charge you for that. What you do is find the store down below or find a general store that's in the location near you and pick up 6 bottled waters so you have them on hand.
Absolutely. I think you just brought up something really good. We've been at conventions before or hotels before where, maybe we wanted to purchase a couple sandwiches or some lunch meat, so we're saving some costs on dinners and lunches and what have you. And if you remove things from those refrigerators, they have little electrical things.
They know.
Yeah, they know, and they're charging you every time you move that or pull that out of there. Yeah. So you might want to make sure that,
avoid their refrigerator supplies.
Exactly. Yep.
You may have a refrigerator, but you'll know that you can use, especially if you're diabetic or if you have some medications that need to be chilled. You can always get arranged to have a refrigerator put in your room.
Absolutely.
But that stock of stuff that's in that thing, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Don't.
Unless you're a millionaire, and I don't know too many millionaires.
And the other thing, there's so many things here. Be able to take a quick phone number. If you're out and about and stuff and someone says, yeah, give me a call. My number is 555. You want to be able to get that down. You don't want to say, hold on, I got to fire up my laptop. Hold on, let me go into my Word. Have a
slate and stylus with you.
Or if you have a note taker, you could braille it right in there. Or, if you have just press record app, you can tell your phone, take a note.
Take a note. Absolutely.
Boom. Yeah. Get it done efficient and get it down. And that way, when you're back at your room, you can organize it and put the phone number where you want it or log it into your contacts in that way. But be efficient. Be quick about it. And you can be nonchalant about it, too, especially if you're using a Bluetooth earpiece in your head. You can just pull it up and just repeat it or have them say it right into your phone, too. Mm-hmm. It just works. Yep. It's just a simple, easy way to do it. Technically, if you have an earpiece, they'd have to say it into your ear, wouldn't they?
I don't know.
That's where the microphone is.
Oh.
And when you're leaving a table, whether at a convention or at a restaurant or at home even, push your chair in because the next person that comes by it is going to find it and go, who the? That's a common thing. And one of the most important things, you're out and about, it's easy to say, oh, I got to sign this. So you set your phone down and then you sign this and then they hand you your card back. So then you go and put it in your wallet, but your phone is still sitting there. So I never set something down. I don't set it down. I put it back where it goes all the time on my personal. That's where I'm carrying it. That's where I'm going to and fro. I don't separate myself from it. My phone is usually embedded into my hand anyways. But if I set stuff down and then I get distracted, I start thinking about something else. And so I always try and put things away. Yes, my MERS.
Yes, his MERS.
So those are a bunch of tips that we use on a regular basis, whether we're at convention or just going out down the road to the coffee shop.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully these helped. And if you guys have any other things that you would like to know, maybe how we do them, you can always send Blind Abilities an email.
Give us a call at 612-367-6093. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, we just would love to add to this list. We're going to put it out as a blog too, so people can have it to look at themselves. You may be experienced, you may be that person that doesn't need any of these tips, but we always run into people that may want to learn some of these tips, or some parents of some blind children that may think this would be a useful list for them. And you can help enhance this list by sending us some stuff.
Yeah, you
email.
could give us some advice. Maybe there's something that we don't have on the list that, it works for you. And we would love to hear how you do things. Because, being blind we're not all in one box. We're all different individuals and we all have different ways of doing things. And some things work for some people and some things don't. So we're always open to listening to other suggestions.
Like in our camper where we keep the coffee. She moves it all the time.
I do, because I hate where he puts it.
So people, where do you put your coffee? All right, thanks for listening. Be sure to check out more podcasts at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter @blindabilities. You can download the free Blind Abilities app from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and that's 2 words, Blind Abilities. And from all of us here at Blind Abilities, to you, your family and friends, stay well and be strong. I want to thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
When we share
what we see
through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations
and the
reality
of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
Blind abilities.